Jake Paul is a clown and Ron is a baby clown. That's what they do. They try to get fame off of other people's victories and things like that. So
Jake Paul fight next. He just called out Tank.
I think he deserves a fight. You know, he can fight Sudo Ramirez, or he can fight the Mexican monster, David Benavidez. You know,
and create an amazing sports story. And so I set that goal for myself. And I want to be impeccable with my word and stay committed and prove to myself that I can do this.
Gervonta Davis has responded to Jake Paul's call-out. He mentioned that Jake is a clown who is only after money. However, Tank said that he may fight Jake in the future.
You retired, do you see yourself going the the Jake Paul route?
I laugh because I don't want to say it, but
Say it, nigga, say it. You helping everybody else out, so say it, nigga.
yeah, I would. I would.
Who would the first celebrity you fight? Jake.
Yeah, I fight him for that money. Get him like 190, 98, 200. No, 195, 200. He definitely be in the gym, so I would consider him my boss. It just, he got a fighter, actual fighter now, like a fighter.
Who was somebody you could see him fighting, like
Me.
a real you?
After his win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Jake Paul called out Gervonta Tank Davis, boldly declaring his desire to become a world champion and take on the best. Jake said he wants to fight them all, showing no hesitation in targeting elite names. In response, Gervonta Davis acknowledged the call-out, making it clear he's aware of Jake's ambition, though many question whether Jake is truly ready for that level.
More than that, I want tougher fighters. I want to be world champion. Zerto looks slow as shit tonight. That'd be easy work too. Badu Jack, I want everybody. Anthony Joshua, Gervonta, and Tommy, stop running.
Jose Benz Sr., the veteran boxing trainer and father of David Benz, expressed strong support for Jake Paul following his recent performance. He stated that Jake looked good in his bout and now deserves to face top-level competition, including Tank Davis and even his own son. In his eyes, this shift is positive for the sport as it blends entertainment with legitimate competition.
tired. He was blocking and taking all his shots, but I think he just got tired, you know, and couldn't execute it. So Jake Paul did a great job.
Who should Jake Paul fight next? He just called out Tank.
I think he deserves a fight. You know, he can fight Sudo Ramirez, or he can fight the Mexican monster, David Benavidez. You know,
You won that fight.
yeah, you know, he deserves to fight all these guys. I think it will be a great fight, and I think he did good. He deserves an opportunity to fight for the world title.
And what would happen if he fought David?
What was that?
What would happen if he fought David?
Well, you know, I think David's in another. I think David's in another level, but let's give this guy an opportunity to fight for a world title.
Jake Paul's win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. did more than elevate his name. It shifted his official standing, as reported by Boxing Kingdom. If Jake Paul wins tonight, he will be ranked as a top 15 cruiserweight by two leading sanctioning bodies. This allows world champions to fight Jake Paul as a voluntary defense. Given the money Jake brings to the table, he will be able to decide which champion he fights for the world title at a time of his choice. Jake is now likely to be ranked in the top 15 cruiserweight fighters by two sanctioning bodies. This status grants him access to fight world champions as a voluntary defense. What's more, Jake's massive commercial appeal means he has leverage. He can choose when and whom he fights for a title. This positions Jake not just as a fighter but as a real player in boxing's business and championship dynamics. While Gervonta Tank Davis is often considered one of boxing's most dangerous pound-for-pound fighters, Jake Paul's name arguably rings louder outside the boxing ring. Jake's influence stretches beyond sports. His social media reach, promotional skills, and crossover appeal give him a different kind of edge. Many fans and observers have pointed out that while Tank is a beast in boxing, Jake is simply bigger in brand and influence, and increasingly in match potential.
What up, fight fans? Now, Gervonta Davis just called out Jake Paul after Jake Paul had his fight with Mike Tyson. Now, we all know that Gervonta Davis is a beast of a boxer, and skill-wise, he's a lot better than Jake Paul. Would it be smart to pair those two up in a fight? Would Jake Paul be too big for Gervonta Davis? What do you guys think?
Jake Paul has made it clear that this boxing journey is about more than fights. It's about creating an unforgettable sports legacy. In his own words, he's committed to setting an amazing sports story, and he's sticking to that goal with discipline. From his roots as a controversial internet figure to becoming a ranked professional boxer, Jake has turned skepticism into momentum.
In a ceremony that I was doing, he said that you have to become world champion to acquire so many kids and create an amazing sports story. And so I set that goal for myself, and I want to be impeccable with my word and stay committed and prove to myself that I can do this and become world champion in the world's hardest sport in roughly 6 to 7 years. Because I think it can be one of the most relatable and inspiring sports stories of all time, and no one thought it was possible. Nobody. Like, look, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, people laughed at me and gonna lose to fucking Gid, then Nate Robinson, then Ben. Come on. So at the end of the day, that's my why. and I'm dead set on becoming a world champion.
Jake Paul's manager shed light on how far he's come, recalling the Tommy Fury bout when Jake was still developing. Despite being green, Jake took on Tommy and didn't back down. Now he's improving with every fight and racking up wins. According to his manager, plans are already forming for Jake to return to the ring by November or December, with Gervonta Davis being one of the names on the table.
See more from this fight as a boxer, and it's coming through fight or this fight. What do you reckon he learned more from?
I think he said it best in there himself. He fought Tommy Fury. He wasn't even a boxer yet. He was learning how to box. Right now, 2.5 years later, he's a true boxer. The loss to Tommy Fury was the greatest gift in Jake Paul's life. Had he beaten Tommy Fury, which was a split decision loss, right? Not a unanimous, not a majority, a split decision loss, he wouldn't be the fighter that he is today. Thank you, Tom.
Do you expect Jake to fight November, December time? Is that when we see that next?
Yeah, November or December is the time when he'd like to do it.
Jake Paul's performance against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. drew praise from several corners of the boxing world, including rising star Ryan Garcia. Garcia tweeted, "Jake did his thing, outbox Chavez Jr." which speaks volumes given Garcia's place among the sport's elite. Such recognition from a legitimate contender validates Jake's work and performance. Boxing veteran Antonio Tarver offered a balanced take on Jake's progress. He acknowledged that Jake looked good and showed clear improvement, but cautioned against rushing into elite matchups. According to Tarver, while Jake has demonstrated potential, there's still a gap between where he is now in the top tier level.
Jake was impressive. You know, surprisingly, he was impressive. He's definitely improving. You know, he got a good team with him and working on some things. But, you know, to become an elite fighter, it's like, bro, it's miles away from what, you know, they can comprehend. You feel me? And so I'm just watching the evolution. You know what I mean? But I see a lot of things from my optics. You know, every time I, you know, break it down, I'm not being critical. I'm just telling you the truth. You know what I mean? His jab looked good today, you know, but he knew the guy wasn't throwing nothing back. So when you let your hands go and you know nothing's coming back, you kind of get comfortable. You know, so when you're going up against better fighters, they not only gonna let their hands go, but when you throw yours, they coming back with something. So, you know, Chavez didn't bring that to the game. He didn't bring that to the table. But Jake looked good tonight. The body work was good. But what I liked was his composure. He didn't get wild. He didn't get out of control, swinging wild and just fighting. He stayed composed. He stayed in his form. And that is evolution in the boxing game. He was more technical than that.
A significant portion of the boxing community believes that a fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul lacks a competitive sense. Tank is still in his prime and has a line of elite opponents to deal with in his own weight class. Many argue that Jake, despite his growing record, hasn't proven himself enough for that level of competition.
Paul might actually fight Gervonta Tank Davis. This can't be. It came up a couple of months ago. I was like, you know what? I'm this because there's no way there's no way they're really gonna do that because it makes no sense. Why would you do that for him? Outside of it, like, okay, you can look at it like an exhibition, which it will be, and we'll take a look at some of the rule set for it. But Gervonta Davis is one of, if not the best, biggest names at 135 pounds and is a prime fighter. I don't want to hear the similar to Floyd and Logan thing because at that point, Floyd was retired. Floyd had done doing the sport. Tank is still in his prime, still has multiple opponents that he needs to fight. And you can say, oh, you know, the Jake would be a one-off. Side quest. That's fine, but that just tells me that Tank doesn't care about being a high-level champion in the sport anymore. It tells me that he's done competitively in the sport. If he takes a fight with Jake Paul, it tells me he's done. And that's unfortunate. Yeah, Tank has been talking about retirement, but if he goes this route, it's almost certain. Like, it's pack it up. It's over with. Because the fight makes no sense. It doesn't even make sense for Jake. For all the things Jake's talking about doing, it makes no sense for him. Again, money, sure. It makes dollars make sense, okay, fine. But I want to see Jake in competitive matchups where I am interested in the outcome. I'm not interested in this. I'm not interested in the outcome of this. I was interested in Floyd versus Logan because Floyd was a little slower, a little older, and Logan would be able to knock Tank out. So what? What does that do for him? Because he said he could beat Canelo. He said he could beat Anthony Joshua. This one to me, like, I've gotten on board with a lot of Jake fights because they've made sense. Right? To me,
I'd love to see Tank fight Jake Paul. I would love to see Tank show how unskilled he is and too small for the unexperienced Jake Paul, who would be too big for him, pause, and use his size and beat the the Tank. He always tweet about, type about, got something to say. Like he really running shit, but he stays little ass at that lightweight class, but being a bigger, smaller dude that can only beat the smaller dudes. And unfortunately, I would love to see the Tank fans looks on their face as they pull a mask off and all the rabies and all the